Hello, this is Ren Michaelis, and this is like the third and final installments of The Picture of Dorian Gray. And here I'll be discussing the differences between the books and, the movies. Okay, according to the book, Dorian Gray has curly blonde hair and frank blue eyes. In the films, he usually has dark brown hair, black hair, but he really has curly blonde hair. And in the 1949 version of the movie, he loved Gladys and really cared about Gladys. But in the book, he've only known Gladys for a few weeks, like 3 weeks perhaps. And Dorian Gray was totally and completely incapable of love. So Dorian Gray he couldn't love anybody. So, another thing, even though the 1949 version is the most accurate version, you know, um, Dorian Gray never repented. And this is also like parts of what makes Dorian Gray creepy. Like this is just it's just a really really creepy guy. He talks about how the portraits is a living death of his own soul. I mean, it was the living death of his own soul that troubled him. The murder had been simply the madness of a moment. As for Alan Campbell, his suicide had been his own act. He had chosen to do it. It was nothing to him. You know, um, and Dorian Gray goes and he looks at his picture. And when he looks at his picture, he let's see. Uh the thing was still loathsome, more loathsome, if possible, than before, and the scarlet dew that had spotted the hand seemed brighter and more like newly spilled blood. Then he trembled. Had it been merely vanity that had made him do his one good thing, or the desire for a new sensation, as Lord Henry had hinted? With his mocking laugh, or that passion to act a part which sometimes makes us do things finer than we are ourselves, or perhaps all of these? And why was the red stain larger than it had been? Why was the red stain larger than it had been? The devil's portrait. It seemed to have crept like a horrible disease over the wrinkled fingers. Here there was blood on the painted feet, as though the thing had tripped, blood even on the hand that had not held the knife, blood on the hand that did not hold the knife. And he's like, I'm not going to confess. I'm not going to confess. I destroyed all of the evidence. He refuses to confess his sin. The death of Basil Hallward seemed very little to him. He says, but this murder, was it to dog him all his life? Was he always to be burdened by his past? Was he really to confess? Never, never confess. There was only one bit of evidence left against him. One bit of evidence left against him. The picture itself. That was evidence. He would destroy it. Why had he kept it so long? Once it had given him pleasure to watch it changing and growing old. Of late he had felt no such pleasure. It had kept him awake at night. When he had been away, he had been filled with terror, lest others should look upon it. It had brought melancholy across his passions. Its worst memory has been marred many moments of joy. It had been like a conscience to him. It had been conscious. He would destroy it. The reason why he destroyed his portraits was because the picture itself, that was evidence. The picture itself was evidence that he murdered his friend. It's evidence that he murdered his friend. So the movie, the 1945 movie, as close as it was, he never confessed. He never confessed. He never repented. He killed. He accidentally killed himself. And he killed himself by accident, trying to get rid of evidence that he killed his friend. And he didn't even care. The death of Basil Hallward seemed very little himself. There was only one bit of evidence of against him, the picture itself. That was evidence. He would destroy him. He would destroy it. Yes, it had been conscious, and he would destroy it. He killed it. He killed it, and the picture knew it. The picture knew it. That's the reason why it said, why was the red stain larger than it had been? It seemed to have crept like a horrible disease over wrinkled fingers. There was blood on the painted feet, as though the ink had dripped. Blood even on hand that has not held a knife. The hand that didn't hold a knife, and fresh blood. He killed himself by accident, by the way. But by accident. When they entered, they found hanging on the wall a splendid portrait of their master as they had last seen him, in all the wonder of his exquisite youth and beauty. Lying on the floor was a dead man in evening dress with a knife in his heart. He was withered, wrinkled, and loathsome in visage. It was not until they examined the rings that they recognized who it was. Dorian Gray is nothing like the Dorian Gray in Penny Dreadful. He's not like the Dorian Gray in Penny Dreadful. And by the way, even Dracula in movies is all wrong. Dracula, Dorian Gray, horrible people, like horrible, like completely horrible. He, I mean, he kills without a conscience, and I could see how that picture is maddening. It predicts things that you haven't done yet. It predicts things that he haven't even done yet. Like there was blood on the hands on the hand that he didn't hold with a knife, and there was fresh blood on a painting, and then he killed himself by accident by trying to kill the painting. So the devil got his soul. The devil got his soul. He unwittingly killed himself. And he killed himself in the process of trying to destroy evidence. Dorian Gray didn't go to heaven like, the 1945 film, implied. It's heavily suggested by the ugliness of the painting, and the fact that the painting predicts sins that he haven't done yet. And I'm getting like shivers all over my body just thinking about it. Like, if you read the book, it is clear he went to hell. It's like it's more loathsome. There was blood on the hand that he didn't use with a knife. There was fresh spilled blood, and then there was like fresh spilled blood when he killed himself, and he probably killed himself with the with a different hand. So the picture knew ahead of time, that he was going to go to hell, and the picture lets us know that he was going to go straight to hell. Of which he was outright evil, though. He was outright evil. How could you kill your own friend without caring? How could you kill your own friend on a whim without caring? He doesn't love, and that's what makes the 1949 movie flawed. In the 1949 movie, he killed because, he didn't want Gladius to see him in a bad light. In the book, Dorian Gray only cared about himself. He didn't love anybody. Dorian Gray is incapable of love. What makes him so evil is that he is incapable of love, incapable of remorse, incapable of compassion. He is incapable of feeling compassion for another human being. He is incapable of looking at a suicide and go, man, this person committed suicide. I feel bad for them. He is just outright horrible. Yeah, and that's the reason why it's just been giving me the shivers and keeping me awake at night. I mean, that that book was horror done right. So, this has been Renee Michaelis. Hope you like this. Bye bye.